Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. As you know, coming to you raw and uncut. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Okay, Raw tonight. I'm not gonna say it was it was bad. I mean it was okay. I mean it had its moments and stuff. I mean it could have got better. You know, but anyway, we're gonna go in this, you know, um, match by match and promo by promo. Okay, starts off with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, coming out to the ring, and then Rhea, basically saying, how her face and her body, feels and stuff like that and everything because the match that they had in War Games. And then she started talking about the Kabuki Warriors wanting a rematch, for the wanting a match to get revenge for the Kabuki Warriors, attacking them and stuff like that. And then out comes Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Well, when they finally get to the ring, Charlotte and Alexa, they're telling Rhea and Io, look, you guys don't deserve a shot at the title. They were the last champions. The Kabuki Warriors did beat them for the titles, and that they never got their rematch, and they want a rematch. And then they go on, and then Charlotte says, "Okay, well, Rhea says, well, you guys had your shot, and and that they're the better team." And then Charlotte, basically says, "Hey, you guys ain't the better team because if you guys are the better team, you're gonna have to prove it." And and so now they schedule a match, later on for that. So they had that match, and then a little backstage thing with Adam Pearce and Ivy Niles is still trying to say that she wants, a match with Maxine Dupree. Adam Pearce is basically telling her that she'll get her shot and stuff like that and everything, And then Paul Heyman comes out, and then Adam Pearce, gets on Paul Heyman about what happened Saturday night as far as, whoever was in the black hoodie and face mask, he's trying to blame Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman said, he doesn't know nothing about it, and it's not his fault, and stuff. So we'll see what happens, beyond after that. And then we get the match, the semifinals, for the match for John Cena's last time now match tournament. And then we have Jey Uso going to LA Knight. And this I don't understand because the fact is, this whole thing with, this whole tournament, it's not like it should have been the way that it could have been and stuff. You still have the same guys who, fought each other, been in battles, been together, and all this stuff, for just about most of this year. And now here these two in a match trying to see who's going to be the one to face John Cena in his last match in a couple of weeks on a Saturday Night Main Event. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, they have the match and stuff. And actually, it was, it was okay match. It wasn't bad and stuff. I mean, they've been in the ring working with each other. So, but I don't understand that the fact is that Jey Uso in the end hits LA Knight with a spear and then an Uso splash. And just before that, he hit him with that before. And LA Knight is not selling anything because you get speared and then an Uso splash. That's usually the end of the match. And what happens? He rolls Jey Uso up, and Jey Uso can't even kick up out of a roll up. That is retarded. But anyway, LA Knight advances on, to the finals. It's crazy. And then you got backstage Bailey and Lara Valkyria. They're talking, with Adam Pearce and everything, talking about them wanting to get a shot at the women's tag team titles and stuff. And then the Kabuki Warriors come out and stuff, and then they lay on Bailey and stuff, just talking, 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 nothing making any sense and stuff like that. And Oscar tells Bailey that she's nothing, because of the fact that when they was with, in their group and stuff. But anyway, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. And then we get the segment with Dominic Mysterio. He comes out with the Judgment Day, basically saying really nothing and everything. Him saying that, because he beat John Cena, that, he's the best, and that he's the best luchador, best IC champion, and he's the best of all time, best of the Mysterios and stuff like that. And we already know, Dom really ain't nothing. Because really, I don't understand. I'm still so mad about how they did John Cena with that match at Survivor Series. But anyway, he introduces Liv, and Liv Morgan comes out and everything and stuff like that. And then she's telling, the Judgment Day that she's heard things about them, you know, um, about them being weak, they're falling apart, things ain't together, and stuff like that. And that they're basically looking weak and like crap. So she says that she's back, and because she's back, things are going to start changing, and that the Judgment Day is going to be up on top again, and people are going to give them, respect again. So we'll see how that goes as, the weeks come by. It's good to see Liv back. Let's see how they work it. Okay. And then we have this little film promo with Natalie training Maxine Dupree, but Maxine Dupree, she is the champion and stuff, but why is she training and stuff? That's why I say it made no sense in a couple of videos why Maxine Dupree is the women's IC champion. It just makes zero sense. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Okay. Um, And then we had, Adam Pearce talking to the referee, trying to get him to figure out, if Seth Rollins, because it's been said that Seth Rollins is walking around, the arena, and he doesn't have a boot. He's not using the crutch or anything like that. So those are the rumors that are going on as far as the backstage antics or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, after that, you have AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending the tag titles against New Day. All right, how the New Day, they've been like mourning because they lost their, tag titles, and they've always been wanting to say, hey, they want to get their belts back and stuff like that. Well, this is the opportunity and chance and everything because AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, hey, offered a, shot to them. So now the New Day has, time to come out and, you know, um, try to win the belt, try to win the belts back. It was a good match and stuff. I mean, it was pretty decent. We had this one spot at the end is where Dragon Lee jumped on the back of I think it was Kofi he jumped back on. And then AJ Lee catches Kofi in the Styles clash. And uh, that was dope. I mean, I don't know how that happened, how he bounced up into that, but it was great. He caught him and then put the Styles clash on him, and they win the match and retain the titles. That was cool. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. And then we get Paul Heyman coming out with the vision, and Paul Heyman giving, shout outs to Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre, I guess helping them, in War Games and achieving what they achieved in War Games by winning it and stuff. And then, he announces Braun Breaker, I guess down the road when on January 5th, that him and CM Punk are going to be going at it for the championship, and that Braun Breaker is going to be the next new champion and stuff, and then he puts Braun Breaker on the mic, and then Braun Breaker basically calls CM Punk a soft B, you know saying that CM Punk shouldn't be worrying about Seth Rollins and the antics and the self non-discipline and the way that Seth Rollins, he said that put the vision together and everything and stuff. That CM Punk shouldn't worry about any of that stuff. That he should be worried about what's going on at his house because his wife is a bigger star than he is, and so that he ought to do that. But hey, that was pretty decent from him. And then he says that on January 5th of next year on Netflix, you know, is going to be a fight. Apparently, it's going to be him and CM Punk, down the road, there for I guess for the championship. And he blamed CM Punk at War Games for almost breaking his neck and stuff. And he said that he tried to ruin CM Punk tried to ruin his life and his career and stuff like that and his dreams and everything he worked for for his entire life. And then he said that Punk tried to take all of that from him. I mean, because in that match, man, in War Games, yeah, Braun Breaker did take a bad spill on his neck. Hell, I thought he broke it and stuff. I mean, that was a pretty bad spill and stuff. And then he says that he's coming, he's coming back, and he's going to be coming back, on I guess on that day, to ruin CM Punk's life, you know, his career and everything that CM Punk has worked for and everything, and that by the time he gets finished with him, that every good memory that the people have of him, they're gonna forget and stuff. So, and then he says that CM Punk, he said, did he remember what he said to him? I guess when CM Punk saw him backstage, I think it was at NXT and stuff. And CM Punk was, congratulate him and stuff like that. And I guess CM Punk told him to see if he can cut a promo with the big dogs. Then Bob Breaker says, "Ha, la di da, consider the promo cut, because the promo that you just did, because on January 5th, when he's on his knees and CM Punk is on his ass looking up at the lights, and he'll be standing over. And then that Braun Breaker said he'll be standing over him when they announce, the new heavyweight champion of the world, you know, being him, Braun Breaker, and stuff. So that was that promo and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can go through, but that was the promo. Not gonna cut it down. I mean, because we already know that Braun Breaker isn't he isn't believable and stuff. I mean, this is the first time that we actually heard a good promo, kind of decent promo from him. It was a little bit scorching as far as him talking about CM Punk and what CM Punk, how he's blaming CM Punk for the things that's happened to him and stuff. But we got a couple of months, before this match happens and stuff. So I'm looking forward to see how they're gonna write this out and how they're gonna book this through and stuff. But anyway, after that, you have Jey Uso. um, he's still tripping from the match that he lost against LA Knight, and he's really in his feelings and stuff. And he said that Roman was right when he said the titles would look good on his shoulders, meaning Roman Reigns and stuff, and not on his shoulders, Jey Uso, saying about himself and stuff. So I think Jey Uso needs to get back with his brother Jimmy, or Jimmy needs to come with him, try to get Jey out of his head and stuff like that. I think the next thing for them is just to become tag team, a tag team again, and then go after the tag titles. Maybe win them once or twice, before they settle down and retire and stuff like that. So if you agree with me, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling. But please, please, I need subscribers. I need subscribers. Okay. Then we have Gunther versus Solo Sakoa. And this is in the semifinals also for the this the last time is now tournament and stuff. So we have two heels against each other. This match actually wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. Solo Sokoa, I guess, really, he carried the match and stuff. Because we know Gunther, man. I mean, Gunther's only good for his chops, a kick, maybe a clothesline, and then a slam. That's it. Four moves. We got Gunther and stuff. I mean, there's nothing really exciting about Gunther, and how they're saying that Gunther's going to be the one that retires John Cena. It just blows me. I mean, even with Solo Sokoa, the same thing. It just blows me that they have these. I mean, out of all the guys, all four of them. I mean, and then now, I it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, because John Cena said himself, you know, somebody new, fresh, up and coming, and everything that it should have been. Why couldn't it have been like maybe Oberfemi? Why couldn't it be Trick Williams? Um, I, I don't I don't know. I mean, all that talent they have down there in NXT. Javon Evans up and down. I figure after he had that match with Gunther and stuff, through and in the tournament and stuff, that the showing that he did. I mean, come on now, you got to bring that boy up in here and stuff. I mean, as far as Trick Williams and Oberfemi and Josh Briggs, I mean, there's a few of them that are ready to step up, to the main roster, because that's talent. I mean, look at Carmelo Hayes. Look how they're doing him. I mean, it's crazy. These guys are young, but they're putting Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as far as the future of the WWE. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, though. We'll see. That's all I can say. We'll see. But anyway, in this match, Gunther gives Solo Sokoa a low blow, and he wins the match. He does a little power slam and stuff like that, and wins the match. And then LA Knight comes to the ring, and then him and Gunther have a little standoff and stuff like that. And LA Knight said he will see him, soon and stuff. But anyway, backstage, the referee is telling Adam Pearce that that he hasn't seen Seth Rollins and stuff, and nobody really has and stuff. But the rumors going on that there is. Then you have AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, coming back to Adam Pearce, saying, hey, they want to do, want to put up the titles more and everything. So they said that they want the next opponents to be the War Raiders. So that would be the match for I guess next week and stuff. You know. And then we have Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. Main event. The match was okay. They were going strong. I mean, actually, it was a pretty decent match. All the way up until the doggone Kabuki Warriors come out and get in the ring. But there was one point in there, Charlotte was going to do a move. I think she was going to try. Oh, I think it was Rhea Ripley that was going to do the Razor's Edge, and she dropped Charlotte. That was crazy. They blew that spot. I mean, they really blew that spot. So there was a lot of botches in it and stuff. But anyway, as the match goes on, it was, they started, it was pretty decent. I thought it was going to be a clean match. It had a lot of false finishes and stuff like that. And then throughout all the false finishes, here come the Kabuki Warriors joining in, jumping on both, all four of them and stuff. And then Bailey and Lara Valkyrie, they come out and stuff, and then now everybody's fighting, battling all around. And then here comes Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Roxanne Perez, and everybody's brawling, 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 brawling and stuff. So I figure at the end of all of that brawling that they have and everything, that somewhere there's going to be a match with all of them in it. And I don't know, it's just going to be crazy and stuff. So trying to make sense of it all and everything, see where they're going. Hopefully somehow Triple H, pulls it together. I mean, we had a whole year of a lot of BS with the WWE. I'm hoping that 2026 they turn the circle and stuff and then get it back on track, because right now they're losing a lot of audience. They're losing a lot of audience. They went to 6 million people on the first show, as far as being on Netflix, and now here we are almost a year into it and everything, and they're just breaking above 1 million viewers. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But anyway, thank you for watching. God bless. Deuces, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.